Welcome to the Explainers! If you've ever been part of an enterprise software migration, you know it's kind of like navigating a minefield blindfolded. It's daunting, the stakes are incredibly high, and honestly, a wrong choice can set a business back years. But today, we're going to turn that intimidating process into a clear, actionable roadmap. And we aren't just going to look at dry theory, we are going to ground this entire framework in a real-world business case study.
Okay, let's dive right in. Here's our roadmap for today. We'll start with the KT Wash Challenge, walk through the 9-step framework, look at building the RFP, break down the evaluation and scoring criteria, and wrap up with teams, timelines, and contracts. Let's go.
Section 1. The KT Wash Challenge, upgrading the liquid detergent line.
So meet KT Wash. They are a massive player in the South African detergent market, and they've maintained international standards of excellence for over a decade. We're using them as our anchor today because, let's be honest, their operational headaches probably look a whole lot like the ones you're dealing with right now.
Just to give you a sense of scale here, they're based in Nigel, South Africa, pushing out a staggering 8,000 tons of product every single month. We're talking both powder and liquid detergents, contract manufacturing for multinational corporations, and even producing their own community-focused brand called Sky. But here's the catch, and the exact reason they desperately need a new ERP partner. Their powder line is totally stable on SAP ByDesign. Awesome. But their liquid line? It's still chugging along on SAP B1. They've got to migrate that liquid line over to ByDesign to consolidate all of their data into one unified system, supercharge the reporting, and actually lay the foundation for advanced analytics. It's a huge, absolutely crucial digital transformation.
All right, Section 2, the 9-step framework, from preparation to contract.
Now, before we start crunching numbers or redlining contracts, successful partner kickoffs actually start with a secret ingredient: human synergy. I mean it. During project mobilization, having the team do a simple doodle icebreaker, like drawing a logo of what they've learned or playing 2 truths and a lie, is a game changer. It sounds almost too simple, right? But it humanizes the whole corporate grind. Getting your internal team actually talking and comfortable with each other is literally the prerequisite to surviving a grueling ERP implementation.
Once everyone's aligned and primed, we unleash the master framework. It logically splits into 2 main phases: thorough preparation and rigorous selection. In the preparation phase, you're assessing your exact business needs, shortlisting vendors with proven track records in your chosen system like SAP ByDesign for KT Wash, and sending out the RFP. Then, boom, you shift into the selection phase. This is where you hammer out your evaluation criteria, sit through live demonstrations, call up client references, pressure test their implementation methodology, nail down the post-go-live support, and finally, sign that contract. It is a highly structured, totally data-driven pipeline.
Moving on to Section 3, building the RFP, the foundation of selection.
Okay, let me be crystal clear about something. An RFP, a request for proposal, is not just a polite email asking for a price quote. No way. It is a formal, comprehensive document. It's the documented foundation for project initiation. If your RFP is vague, your proposals are going to be vague, and the final integration will be an absolute disaster. A killer RFP basically does the heavy lifting for you. It prevents bad integrations by forcing your business to define its exact scope right out of the gate. You have to lay out your legal entity structures so the vendor knows exactly who they're contracting with. You've got to define the business scope, which for KT Wash meant tightly integrating those liquid and powder lines. You also have to map out your org structures so they understand the departments, locations, and user hierarchies. And of course, you list your hard technical and non-functional requirements. Build this correctly, and the vendors who can't actually handle your project will just filter themselves out immediately.
Section 4, evaluation and scoring criteria, the balanced scorecard.
Now, there's this massive misconception that picking an ERP partner all comes down to finding the cheapest price. Totally false. Financials only make up 15% of the overall decision. The heavy hitters here are the solution assessment and demo at 25% and training and support at 20%. That tells us that hands-on proof of the solution and knowing they'll actually support you after launch matter way, way more than the initial price tag.
This balanced scorecard is brilliant because it keeps the whole evaluation completely objective and strictly data-driven. By spreading the score out across these 6 specific points, a vendor can't just swoop in and win by offering some massive discount. They have to prove their implementation methodology, how they actually manage projects and handle their on-site presence. They have to prove their team's technical competency. They've got to show a solid track record in similar manufacturing setups. It completely levels the playing field.
So,
Why exactly is the solution assessment sitting at the very top with 25%? Because anybody can write a flashy proposal, but the live demo, that is hands-on proof. For KT Wash, the vendor literally has to sit down and demonstrate, live in the system, how SAP by Design is going to flawlessly integrate their liquid detergent data, enhance the reporting, and actually handle their 8,000-ton capacity workflows. Seeing the software actually solve your specific pain points matters more than anything else on the scorecard.
Almost there. Section 5. Teams, timelines, and contracts. Executing the decision. So how does a decision actually turn into reality? It takes a realistic, rigorous timeline. You cannot rush this over a weekend. We're looking at a 21-week journey from project mobilization to a signed contract. Notice these critical milestones. By week 6, you hit milestone 1 with an approved RFP document. Week 7 locks in the evaluation criteria. It takes all the way until week 18, after all the demos and financial evaluations, to hit milestone 3 and officially pick a partner. And finally, by week 21, you have a fully negotiated, signed contract. You have to stick to these deadlines, or the whole project's momentum just stalls out.
But hey, frameworks and timelines don't just magically execute themselves, right? You need dedicated humans driving the bus. You absolutely need an internal ERP consultant acting as the main customer-facing resource. They do the heavy lifting, leading the business analysis, setting the scoring, grilling the partners, which requires up to 50% of their full-time capacity during the peak selection phase. And alongside them, a program manager to wrangle approvals and keep communication flowing, sitting at about a 10% allocation across all phases. Without these assigned champions, the framework just falls apart.
So, we've just seen how a company like KT Wash can take a huge, super risky business challenge, upgrading a massive liquid detergent manufacturing line, and completely solve it using a structured, objective, and deeply considered 9-step framework. It takes serious time, internal alignment, and ruthless evaluation. So I'll leave you with this thought. Knowing the intense groundwork required, how are you going to structure your internal team to conquer your next big vendor selection? Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.